I was apolitical. Apolitical. I didn't even know what Democrat meant. I don't know what Republican meant. I just wanted to stay out. I'm like, that
I remember in college, I thought you voted for Obama.
Yeah, but I don't know just dumb.
Welcome back to JK. We're talking today about how Joe Rogan opened up about his personal shift towards the right.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he played it the most genius out of every single person.
Wow.
I think, like, you know how like the lines of what's left and right has shifted?
Blurred.
Right, blurred. And then so like what was considered moderate before is now considered probably more right-leaning. Mm-hmm. If you're libertarian, you're right-leaning. So I feel like people that understand that probably for the last 3 years since COVID, since Joe Rogan, even if you question anything, I think you're right-leaning. So since probably 2020, people that understand that have always been, oh, okay, I think Joe Rogan is right-leaning, even though he always says I'm a liberal, Democrat, whatever, in today's standards.
He's a Bernie guy.
And I believe that he believes he's a Democrat and he believes that he's liberal, but based off of the way we measure things now, he's towards the right. And I think him coming out at the most critical moment, he was able to build this whole like tsunami wave of audience where he kind of refrained from really identifying with anything so that no one has a chance to really fall out. And then right when we needs it, he brings that whole tsunami. And if you were gonna jump ship at the last second, you jump ship, but that tsunami was able to help push Trump.
What swayed you? Because I've known you for a long time. I've been on this channel, I think, for 10 years next year. What swayed you personally? Because when I met you, I think
Bart was Obama.
I was apolitical. Apolitical. I didn't even know what Democrat meant. I don't know what Republican meant. I just wanted to stay out. I'm like, that shit is.
But did you lean left?
I remember in college, I thought you voted for Obama.
Yeah, but I don't know shit. You're just dumb. You know when you're in college, you're just stupid.
Yeah.
Like you're just stupid, and you think I'm gonna make a change without doing research.
Right. Oh, that's kind of like the people right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I voted for Obama.
Yeah, you're just dumb, and then you're just like, oh, you know what? How cool would it be to have the first black president? And then that's how you vote. Not on policy, not on what their track record or anything like that. It was just like, how cool would it be?
I think a lot of people in college was like, dude, I want to be a part of history.
Yeah.
And be a part of the people that brought a black president for the first time ever.
Yes.
And that's all you thought about in college. It was like, we're going to change it because, you know.
It's just an ideology pretty much.
So I started becoming more politically involved during COVID, because COVID happens, everything gets shut down, and you're like, oh shit, okay.
So it wasn't until your late 30s.
Late 30s, yeah. Because 2020, I was, how old was I? 36? Yeah, I was like 36. So it wasn't until I was 36, whole city gets shut down, and then the whole nation is like that. But very quickly, you see certain states start to open up. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. Okay, this is something that's kind of different. Then you have all the aftermath of like COVID, from George Floyd to the riots in LA to the defunding of the police to how some states open up. And then that's when I started going, oh wait, how come some states are following a certain pattern and then some states have another playbook? And that's when I started going, oh wait, there's this whole left and right thing. And then, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I feel like since you guys are really like knowledgeable on political stuff, probably in like the side JK party conversations, you probably hear me ask, is left Republican or Democrat? Like that's how stupid I was. I didn't even know those things.
You were a noob, yeah.
Yeah, and people will use things interchangeably, right? And they're like, oh, that's what people on the blue do, and you're like, oh, this is blue Republican, you know? Because like that's how. And I started to finally start to understand those things, and then I started then seeing how places open up, how people run things, then starting to understand what less government means, what more government means, less regulation, more regulation, how that affects not just policy, but economics, and then seeing the homeless industrial complex, because the place where I was living, like all the homes were super nice, but then seeing homeless people just pile through what was supposed to be our actual forever home, like no jokes, thought we were gonna stay there forever. Just us going, dude, this is fucking not safe at all. And then seeing the same city go, yes, it's not safe, and we're gonna fire 10,000 cops. Yeah. And you're just like, what the
But you guys are dumb for not staying there because you said it was your forever home initially.
True.
So, yeah, it's on you. It's on you.
And then you start seeing like other places, like we would like tour and do like I did a bunch of fitness events, and you would see problems happen, and like let's say Houston cleans up overnight.
Yeah.
You know, like oh they had a homeless problem, but it's gone like that. And then so that really kind of like made me shift my mind to going like the way that I envision my life and how I want to plan for my family. It feels like the policies that are put in place by the people on the right help that become more conducive.
Which ones?
So one, I don't like the open border. Like for both me and Gio's side family, they're
But Gio's Mexican, so surely she doesn't think that.
well, their mom came in legally. So even the mom's like, if I know how to come in through the correct process, how come everyone else can't come in through the correct process? So I do believe like if the nation is your home, you want to keep your doors shut and let in the people that you vetted. So that's like one big one. I do believe in actually funding the police better so they can get the training that they need to avoid another George Floyd type situation, regardless if people feel if he was like crazy on drugs or whatever. He shouldn't have passed away in such a horrible incident. But taking money away when they're already underfunded is super no bueno. And all the favorite cities that people live in have a highly funded police department. You know, like San Marino, like none of those places lack resources. So there's that. Also, I wasn't a big fan of Tyka's cousins. They are in LAUSD, and then they were saying they're going to start passing these laws where guy and girl bathrooms are combined. It's just going to be one gender bathroom. So you're going to have a first grader girl with a sixth grader boy. I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, certain things I kind of like the safety of things, and if you just have one gender things, I'm like, that's fucking insane. There's that, and then there's the even like building like a nation up where it almost felt like if you want to join the military, you have to have a powerful nation, regardless of how you feel about the military-industrial complex. The military needs to defend the country, so you need to empower them. And then so for them to go, if you're not vaccinated, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And there's people that were like, dude, I was trying to be a lifer. I'm like 2 years away from getting my full-time retirement, and they're forced to step out.
Wow.
And now they're like, I've been in infantry for the past 18 years. I don't know, and I'm like 43. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to take care of my family? Like you have like that crazy.
They're suing now and winning.
Which is really, really good. So just seeing like all of that, I'm like, dude, this is not the way that I want it to go. And all the more right-leaning states and policies and leaders, I'm like, this is pretty cool. I like
So
it.
for Joe Rogan, he says that his personal shift happened when, specifically towards endorsing Trump, when Obama said lies about the Charlottesville thing, where he's like,
There's a clip of him
Yep.
showing Obama making a speech saying that Trump said that there's fine people, and he goes, how can he call white supremacists fine people? And then Joe was like, wait a minute, and then they pulled up the clip of the full speech.
which we played here.
And then Trump basically said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists. So he specifically said that first. And he goes, I'm talking about the people that were protesting the statue from not being taken down.
Yep.
And then so Joe Rogan was like, that is so disingenuous to like paint this picture. And this is the reason why we're in such a division, is like politicians are out there misquoting
Openly lying.
purposely.
Openly.
So that this is the news that people get. And I was like, for the longest time, I was like, why do people think Trump is racist because he's white? Or is there like a real reason why? And I'm like, I get it. Like, he did say that part about like Mexicans are bringing in the racists or whatever. But then I watched the whole video, and it was because the journalist was asking him about MS-13 gang. And then he was responding that the gangs are coming over the border and all this stuff. And then so they took that clip.
they chop it up.
I was like, oh my God, right? So like, no wonder. And I don't blame the people that think he's racist, because if you only saw that clip, but then I also think like people that are perpetuating that stuff, I wouldn't expect President Obama to be doing it. I do expect like a sleazy little news channel to do it because they're trying to get clicks.
That's their job.
So I think that's also the Joe Rogan kind of like, wait a minute.
Yep.
Like, a former president's doing this? Like, I expect that behavior from, like, news channels that want clicks.
Yep.
But not a former president.
And he was talking about how when he got canceled for talking about he took the ivermectin and how CNN went bet on him, and he was like,
Made
dude,
him all green and
yeah,
shit.
he's like, that was such a blip
Yeah.
in a lot of people's like news stories, but for me, like, I started to see where the lying from that side of the media came from. So he was like, well, if they're doing that to me, who knows what the fuck they're doing to like Trump or all these other political people.
Hey, what's up, guys? Just in case you've noticed some of these lovely jade pieces on some of our men here, just know that you can get some for yourself over at thejadejewelers.co. Visit our friends here at the site and check out some of the pieces they've got. The selection is massive. You can find all kinds of different designs, and they even do some custom work, so if you want to check them out, we'll be very grateful. We love these guys over at Jade Jewelers, and we're happy for you guys to be able to get the same stuff.
I watched a really good, kind of like a video essay that this guy made about Joe Rogan's, basically like his journey, and he had his own theory of like bit by bit, like how does this super liberal Bernie supporter, because he's not even like moderate liberal.
He's kind of a hippie.
Yeah, he's like a
He's a
super
self-professed
liberal Bernie
Who
supporter.
looks like a pro.
Yeah.
How did he end up like endorsing Trump?
Yeah.
And so he goes like, well, for one, I think Joe Rogan has always been anti-establishment. And I think for him, it's always been someone that's questioning, you know, the status quo, what's going on. And if you think about his show, right, he brings everybody.
That's it.
Like, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
He's had so many people from the left and the right.
Yeah.
And I think what the current administration, where they messed up, is nobody wanted to come to the show. J.D. Vance came, Trump came, and everyone came on Joe's terms and said, hey, let's have that talk for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And people might make the argument where it's like, well, they're going to, enemy territory or whatever. And then Trump feels comfortable because, you know, that is a safe place for him. But I would argue that it's actually not, because Andrew Yang was on Joe Rogan, you know. Bernie Sanders, and did Joe Rogan ever treat any of them with disrespect? No, like if they went on Fox, they get it pretty hard. But if Trump goes on to CNN, they go hard.
Joe could have been so shitty to Fetterman if he wanted to.
And he was just asking questions.
Exactly, because Fetterman has a communication issue because he went through a stroke or whatever, right? And Fetterman was like using like a teleprompter that he's like uses like with AI that helps him like translate what people are saying. And Joe was just nice to him the whole time. Didn't matter what the hell was going on. He could have clowned him. Imagine he's just like a hardliner, like partisan guy. Yeah. He's like, oh, what are you saying? What are you saying? Like, but he could have wrecked him.
I do have to really point out though, it's like what people are missing out here is like, it's not so much that people are becoming right-wing extremists, but the Democratic Party is making people that are Democrats feel alienated.
There used to be a dialogue, right? So like when you had the Phil Donahue days, right? Where Phil Donahue used to talk to me, I'm a political nerd, sorry, I grew up with all the shit. But like I grew up on the right for sure. But the corporatist right. So like I am so mad at the right because of the corporatist shit. But like Phil Donahue used to have everybody on, and they used to have like a discourse. It's like Phil Donahue versus like George Will or whatever, and they would just talk about like right versus left stuff and like have a meeting of the minds, and like it wasn't like personal and all this shit. Now it's like if you even listen to George Will or you're Phil Donahue, like fuck you, and that is the problem that people have.
Well, also I think so we're millennials, right? Gen Z, we're a little too young to know what millennials saw. Yeah. So we saw Bush Kerry, we saw Bush Gore, we saw
all the Iraq wars.
Right. So
I wish Gore won. I wish Kerry won.
They're called neoliberals and neocons. Yeah. Exactly. And so like when we grew up, we didn't like neocons. I mean, well, you like Bush, but you didn't know what it was. Correct. So that's what people don't know is that I think there's also the perception of what a MAGA American is. Yeah. So like MAGA has created this space where it's like a weird like former Democrat. You have conservatives, you have people that are Republican that just has to fall in line. Yeah, but it's a weird party because it's a home for a lot of Democrats that don't want to really be there, but then they're kind of like we have
disaffected
no points.
Bernie bros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Bernie people. There's actual former socialists. There's like all these people that are like, yeah. And it's weird because it's like, how is this the anti-establishment group when it's the billionaire group? And it's a confusing.
And I'll
You
say this
can't
too.
like typecast it.
I'm a fan of Andrew Yang,
Yeah.
and I hope he comes on the show. I really do. But one of my most disappointing things about Andrew Yang personally is that like Andrew Yang supported Kamala Harris until fucking yesterday, and then now he's coming out saying like, oh well, this was messed up. They shouldn't have done all this stuff, and it's like, where were you, bro? Like where you been? Like where you?
You're already blacklisted, so why support her?
Well, right.
You're not even.
That's
You're
it.
a forward
That's
party.
it.
You're not even Democrat
You're
anymore.
supporting the party that blacklisted you, and then I'm just so confused as to why you're like supporting the party infrastructure that it has already drowned out your voice.
And
I don't get that.
I think like what people. So when this all kind of broke loose, right after the election, the libteers came out and said like, misogyny is the reason.
Right.
Minorities not supporting minorities is the reason. Like they just did this whole thing where they're not even saying like, hey, why did so many Democrats leave?
Yeah.
They're just writing it off and dismissing it as like, you guys are just racist.
Right.
But think about even within the leadership, right? You had Tulsi Gabbard, who's a lifelong Democrat. She left. You have Andrew Yang, who was another, who decided to build his own party, right? So there's so many people on the left who feel alienated. And instead of listening to why that is, it's automatically, you're a racist. You guys are white supremacists. And I'm like, why can't we have an actual conversation of like, we want a different party that represents us. We just found a home in an area where it's like, I guess they're talking about the things we want to hear. And Bernie was right about the working class being.
He still is.
He is so right.
He still is.
He was the one that actually was making sense. And then the media came out and said, oh, it's because of misogyny and whatever stupid reason.
But that's part of the reason why I think a lot of people were like, I'm going to vote for Trump.
Dude, you know,
because they're so sick of that narrative coming from that side that they're just like, dude, fuck it. I'm
Bernie,
sick of it.
when he came out and said it's because the Democratic Party abandoned the working class, it gave space for the Trump group to be like, come to us.
And he said, and it's about time the working class abandoned them, right? Because what do you expect? What do you expect?
Do you guys think this type of shift is always inevitable every like so often?
I hope so.
Because that shit happens. That's happened in the,
I think
in
we
the
all hope
past
so.
as well.
I think we all hope that advertising dollars doesn't drown out like the yearning for like representation, because sometimes it's both.
But when I saw California be like, usually it's like pretty much blue, but this time was like a little bit more mixed, a lot more
It's
red.
like 60-40.
So so it does kind of make you go like, I think people are starting to really kind of wake up and say, dude, I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of just having the same voice over and over again. So
Why
maybe
do
it's a
you
changing of the tides.
Why do you think the left went so hard on like pushing people away, and the narrative was like meant to like just push everyone that felt alienated or in the center?
I think that they
all
weren't,
the way to the
they
right,
weren't
you know?
comfortable with the most boiled down issue of like the economy. Oh, but isn't Wall Street doing well? It's not about Wall Street. It's about inflation, right? So like kitchen table economics, like eggs, butter, fucking bread, all the basics, right? More expensive now by a 3x just about. So like that's it to me. It's just about that, and they were uncomfortable addressing that and how they were going to fix it.
They're kind of downplaying a little bit too.
I actually think there's no real leadership in the left.
So you're right.
I told you
Joe
this
and me were talking
earlier.
about this at lunch.
So, so think about it, right? On the right, you have philosophical thought leaders. You also have,
Whether you like them or don't.
you also have leadership type personalities with an initiative. So you have Vivek coming out and he goes, we need to like dismantle,
Wokeism.
big government, whatever, wokeism. You have Elon coming out. You have all these people that have, hey, this is what I champion. This is what I want to do, right? If you think about the left, you don't really have anybody that's spearheading a thought and saying, this is my philosophy, this is what I stand for, this is what I'm trying to do. What you have is mob rule. So you have a bunch of the lowest common denominator mob group coming together, and then the leadership isn't telling them, no, shut the fuck up, that's not what we're trying to do.
Right.
On the right, or I don't even want to say the right, it's MAGA. Because on the right, you have old school Republicans like the Nikki Haley's, the Dick Cheneys, and all that. they're actually more like the Kamalas.
The corporatists.
Right. They just pander. They just say they don't have any new thoughts, right? And then so when you see the two parties, like think about even when online, right? Like how many left influencers do you guys see that are actually political influencers with opinions? And okay, so
David Pakman, Destiny.
right, and then the Young Turks. But even within them,
But Young Turks is anti-corporatist, I feel.
they're the left.
Yeah, they're the
So and then they have opinions, they have whatever, right? But then so this is the difference is like, okay, so you have all these right-wing style influencers with their own opinions, their own philosophies, their own kind of differences. Because you have the hardcore Christian ones, you have the more like constitutional ones, you have the more libertarian ones.
Yeah.
And they all have their own kind of thing that they're trying to develop. What do you have on the left? Like, I can't really name any. And I'm trying to
You don't know
find-
what they stand for.
Yeah.
And on top of that, what about all the politicians on the left? Like, if they're asked to go on podcasts, how many people, even Joe Rogan has said, yeah, I try to get them on, but they don't come on. And then on the right, they're like, yeah, I'll come, right?
They're
And
willing
then-
to have the conversation.
Yeah. And then from governors to whatever, like they all fucking go and try to go on podcasts and then they're willing to talk.
Yeah,
And
it'd
I
be
think
cool if
that's a
Newsom
huge
or
difference.
AOC or Pelosi all actually went out there and explained what their thoughts were.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be actually cool.
that would be cool.
What do you want to hear from them, Bart?
So the way that I follow a bunch of left and right stuff on my own page, just cause like I want to like try to get an accurate temperature of what's going on. And what I always really see is it almost feels like the current like MAGA right, they put out a policy and it feels like the left are just counterpunchers. So they don't really have a fight. They don't really have an offense. It'll be like, what's that new guy that's gonna be the borders are Tom?
Tom Homan.
Yeah, like Tom Holman, right? He comes out, I want to do mass deportation, and then you have people like AOC, like, what are you gonna separate families? It's not like this is my issue. This is my issue. It's more like this is my issue, and they just try to poke holes at what you have.
The solution.
So
Their
if the
attempted
people on the
solution.
right just zip their mouths, everyone on the left right now would have zero content because their only content is based off of you go first.
You think that's because the shift right now is like the Republicans sound like the more sensible, like questioning people that are anti-establishment or whatever. So that's like their only strategy because right now, like no matter what they say, like people are gonna lean towards the right anyway. So they have to find a way to like.
I don't know, but I would love to hear their thoughts without having to have like
Unobstructed.
unobstructed versus them only having counter arguments.
Was there ever?
If they had their own plan, right?
Was there ever a time where the Republicans were doing that to the Democrats?
All the time in the fucking 90s and 2000s,
Yeah.
bro.
So what?
You know,
bullshit.
what I remember is Republicans was the party of censorship.
Yeah.
They were the party of being rigid.
Dick
they were
Cheney
the corporate
versus Eminem.
exactly.
Yep.
And then so
And now Eminem is for Liz Cheney.
Crazy.
Go figure it out.
Crazy, crazy.
Figure it
Do you
out.
think that's kind of like how it's gonna always be, even in the future? Like what we're saying about the right now is gonna flip to the other side.
yeah, because
It always
this is why I'm nonpartisan. Is because there's no benevolent ideology. Never. It's impossible.
Correct.
But it's dependent on the people that are kind of developing the culture. And what I see right now is there's a new culture and a movement being made on the right, and we do see it on the left too. But the difference is I see mob rule on the left. I don't really see any real leadership. And on the right,
So what trickle up, right?
Yeah.
The woke guys on the bottom are influencing the top. That's why when you see AOC take her pronouns out of her bio today, that sent a ripple because she had the pronouns in her bio because of
those people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and then what I would like to see is some thought leaders on the left that are developing ideas and it's like, and then also like, okay, think about recently with Jubilee, they're doing some great content with the 30 Democrats, 30 Republicans, or like there's like one person in the middle, right? Why is it that it's always only Destiny? It's like there's nobody else really besides Destiny. Where on the right you have Charlie Kirk, you have Ben Shapiro, you have a ton of people that would come in and do it, right? But I'm like, what is it? What's going on right now where there's no one actually championing their own idea, but they're parroting everything? Everything's a parrot of like, this is an ideology that's going on in the left. I don't know who it was developed by, but they're all just echoing that. and it's no one's original idea.
It's almost like the left and the right are just vessels, and then the real people behind it is like those are the people that keep going back and forth, or the thoughts or the ideologies or whatever keep shifting back and forth, right? That's how I feel about
It feels like that for all of us.
Yeah,
it's a big blob.
Like we're just like those people that are just trying to figure out which side right now is like the ones that make more sense right now.
Because I feel like I think people and their thoughts generally stay the same, and it's where the left and right lines that are shifting. You know? But like, I think generally people, they don't have like drastic shifts in their own ideologies. Like they're just, this is who they are, and then it's the left and right that goes like this.
And I do think that there's a necessary, like, there's something necessary about the two. So like, if you think about what a conservative is, right? They just want things that are working and traditional to kind of like, hey, this is working, guys. Let's not disrupt that. What is a progressive? It's someone who's supposed to have new ideas to kind of challenge you, right? And whatever sticks will become conservative. I think that's just the cultural ebb and flow of like, back in the day, interracial marriage was like, that's weird communist shit, right? And then now it's like, that's normal. And that's the same with gay marriage. At one point, like in our lifetime, it was so weird.
Karl Rove, the Bushes, they were pushing against it.
It's crazy that the conservatives are fighting for freedom of speech.
It's insane. No, because like I said, in the 90s it was, or 2000s, it was Dick Cheney versus Eminem.
Yeah.
And like Liz Cheney, right? Like his wife.
And that's why it's weird when people kind of pigeon us to a side, because I'm like, we've been called from libtard to right-wing extremists, and it's like, why can't you just be nonpartisan and you like argue over points? And some things we might be right, some things we might be left.
Yeah, but just don't hit us with like some bullshit like Tulsi Gabbard's a Russian agent. I'm like, all right, dude, like, what do you got? What do you got on that, right? Like, give me something, right? Give me some evidence on that. Not just like, oh, I heard it from like John Harwood from fucking CNN.
It's because Hillary Clinton did it.
Well, now it's AOC. It's not even, people are going to forget Hillary ever said it now.
AOC brought it back up?
Yeah.
I know. How do you feel about all this?
I mean, it's. I guess for me, my concern's a little bit different. I mean, I definitely feel like I identify more as a Republican.
Yeah.
And a conservative.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Have you always felt that way?
No. I voted for fucking Obama. I voted for, I was Dem. My whole family, everybody's Dem. But then I think just the way I've been treated, like, I just, it's more, my things, I think it's more sociological. I think it's more like Democrat people that are hardcore with those points have just been meaner to me. I just don't want to be like them.
That's
all.
true.
And that's pushed me to listen to more of the conservative side. Otherwise, I didn't care about either.
Yeah.
But the fact that I can't get along with people that are so hardcore left is really sad.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? This is what it feels like. It feels like they go, both sides, they go, Bart, what do you want? I go, I want less war. I want safer neighborhoods. It'd be cool if things were a little bit cheaper, and I do think the government might spend too much, right? And then I go like that to my two friends, and then the right's like, come give me a hug, dude.
Yeah.
And then the left is like, fuck you. I'm like, what the fuck? All right then, you know, and then you're like, fine, this guy's gonna hug me.
I feel like that's the same experience a lot of us have, especially people that aren't even into politics. Like once they catch wind of like what the left is saying to them, they're just like, this is annoying, I'm just gonna vote for Trump.
I'm really not into politics that much. I'm into being pretty logical, and I think that led me to being on a political side without even realizing it. Like I was just like, wait a minute, I just don't want crime. I'm not a criminal. I don't have anything to gain by less people being in jail. Like, I want more people in jail if they deserve to be in jail. I don't give a shit. You know, like it's not, I just don't live that life where I benefit from that. So, you know, I understand like that people might have different reasons or causes as why they want reform, prison reform. Okay, that's fine. But in my eyes in front of me, in the places I've lived in Hollywood and downtown and having an office in the studio in the fashion district, I've seen some shitty shit. And I go like, hey, who wants to fix this shitty shit that I've seen with my own eyes? Not the dreamy shit of people I've never met in my life, but just my day-to-day problems. Who wants to fix that? And even addressing that they're problems has gotten me crucified by the left.
Yep.
And I didn't like that.
You're called racist.
I didn't like that.
It's like weird.
I didn't like that, and I didn't like that there was no dialogue to even elaborate on why.